Hey folks, everything new under the sun. Here's a bit of a prophetic update, latest news update. This is my, pillars of Bible prophecy, which I have a slide for somewhere, which I can't find right now. But it shows, here it is. It shows all the main things that are described in Bible prophecy, Matthew 24, Luke, Mark, etc., Revelation. All those verses describe things, and the Horseman of the Apocalypse, of course, Revelation chapter 6. Those scriptures describe all the things that are happening in the last days. Now, we see a lot of them, but when they all are happening all at the same time, that's significant because each one of these things has happened throughout history. Even 2 or 3 of them have happened at the same time at various places in the world. But it's not. It's never happened that they've all happened at the same time. Earthquakes, economic collapse, war, rumors of wars, of course, famine, pestilence, sea and the waves roaring. Note men's hearts failing them for fear of things coming upon them. Now, when I read the verse about men's hearts failing them, I think about the NFL player who had a heart attack on the field. What was that about? And all the elite athletes who are having heart attacks. Now, I'm not saying that is the direct reference, but interesting that there's kind of a side idea of that particular verse. Men's hearts failing them for fear of things that are coming upon them. There's a lot of heart failures right now, and it's not for fear of things coming upon them. It's for fear. It's basically what's inside them. So interesting. Sea and the waves roaring, signs in the heavens. This is one of the big things. So when we look at signs in the heavens and the third temple, these are 2 things that we have not seen a huge amount yet of, although signs in the heavens could be atmospheric rivers, big storms, hurricanes, that sort of thing, or out in the stars in outer space. That could be a reference to that as well. But all these things will be happening in the last days, and they will increase with frequency and intensity, all these things. So with that, let's take a look at the current news. And we know 2023 is shaping up to be an incredible year. So this is an article in Zero Hedge. Let me bring this down here. Come on. Safari. There we go. Let's go to the top. And 2023 spells big trouble for U.S. Majority of large banks warn. Vast majority of economists at 23 large financial institutions surveyed by Wall Street predict that the United States will fall into the grips of a recession in 2023 and that Americans will lose their jobs. Well, that's a great a prediction of what they think is coming. But we all know that we're in a recession now. The question is, will we go into a depression? Thousands upon thousands are losing jobs. There was latest news that Amazon was going to cut another 18,000 jobs or people from their workforce, which is an incredible amount. There's numbers here about many job losses that are occurring. This here is the economiccollapseblog.com. The overall theme for 2023 will be here we go, and it describes again. Interest rates increasing and workers being laid off. This is Salesforce. Salesforce plans to lay off 10% of its workforce, or nearly 8,000 employees. Amazon wouldn't lay off 18,000 employees. Salesforce wouldn't lay off 8,000 employees. Twitter wouldn't lay off, what are they up to, 3,000 employees? All these companies, Facebook wouldn't lay off 10,000 employees. They wouldn't do these things if we weren't going into significant economic trouble, and they see it coming. They know it's coming, and they're addressing it now to position themselves for what they see is coming. So those people in big business, those are millionaires. They got to be millionaires for a reason. They're probably smart, and they're making the correct moves. So pay attention to them. They obviously are smart enough, intelligent enough to get to where they are. They probably know what's coming down the pipe, and we're watching that as well. Wars and rumors of wars. So, of course, there's a price cap coming that Europe and the world wants to put on Russia, well, Russia's going to retaliate, and they're saying they're going to ban oil to U.S. and other nations that implemented the price cap. So they were going to, and this is silly, they were going to try and force Russia effectively to sell their oil at a lower rate. They were going to put a cap on it. And Russia says, well, if you don't want our oil at the price we want and that we need for it, then you don't get our oil. And so it came to bite the U.S. and European nations, this whole price cap. So he's just banning sale. Putin recently signed a decree to temporarily ban export of oil products to the United States and other nations that implement the price cap. So incredible. Energy troubles, which is going to cause economic collapse. European energy crisis. Again, you talk about oil, energy, even with nuclear plants. France close to electricity rationing over problems with nuclear power plants. So even though they spun up a bunch of power plants, they're still having troubles, and they're going to have blackouts. And all the green energy in the world is not going to save Europe, U.S., etc. At all, because it's not consistent. The wind generators only work when the wind is blowing. The solar panels only work when the sun is up and shining. And if it's raining out, if it's cloudy, you don't produce very much energy. So green energy is well and nice, but it doesn't supply the consistent load that we in the Western world need and use all throughout the night during winter periods where there is much less sun. And of course, the sun is also what creates a lot of the wind, all of the wind, really, Coriolis effect, the heating and the cooling, and all that. So because of the rotation of the Earth around its axis, and the fact that in winter we get less sun, that means less wind. So both those things don't work very well in the winter. And what are we in now? We're in winter. Thankfully in Europe, they seem to be having a heat wave. This here should concern you. Putin sends warship armed with what? Hypersonic missiles to Atlantic and Indian Oceans. Now I'm on the Atlantic side of North America. This is a problem. The U.S. does not have any defense that anybody knows of for hypersonic weapons. No missile defense can take these things down. They're too fast. Putin on Wednesday ordered a warship armed with new hypersonic Zircon cruise missiles to be deployed on a mission to the Atlantic and Indian Oceans in what could be a message and warning aimed at the West against escalating in Ukraine. This is an article from War News 247. NATO in line with Russian hypersonic missiles. Medvedev, here is New Year's gift in the Mediterranean. Zircon with Mach 9 strike at 1,000 kilometers. So it goes Mach 9, and it's got a 1,000 kilometer range. NATO bases in Europe are now in the line of Russian hypersonic weapons as the Kh-47M2 Kinzhal air-to-ground missile is put into operation. Russia has deployed two hypersonic weapons against anyone in NATO and Europe, and this is a serious issue in view of escalation of the Ukrainian war. Russia is ready to go to war. If U.S. escalates, if Europe escalates, Russia is absolutely ready, positioned, and has weapons superior to the U.S. weapons currently to go into World War III if the U.S. pushes them there. I don't think Putin wants to go there. Nuclear weapons are their last line of defense. They know it. Their generals have said it. Their generals have stated that they cannot beat NATO and the U.S. with conventional weapons. They know that. And so the next significant escalation will have to be nuclear, because that's the only way that Russia can defeat NATO. And that has been planned by Russia for a long time. They knew this was coming. So all these things, wars, rumors of wars, hypersonic weapons now ready. We are at the precipice of World War III. I think it gets worse. I think we get to the point where a world leader will come into place, and we will all accept him, but we will only accept him when we're desperate. And so he's going to come into power when we have effectively started World War III, when the economies of the world have collapsed, when the food chain is disrupted so much that we can't afford food anymore and we're desperate, and there's violence and chaos all around in the Western world and the rest of the world by default. All the poor countries as well, they're going to feel it even quicker and faster than we are in the Western world. And so the Antichrist really can't come into power until we're in a desperate state. So I think all the things that are on these pillars, these are all going to be taking effect and being part of this prior to the Antichrist coming to power, except for, of course, the third temple, because I believe that he will allow Israel to rebuild the third temple in the name of peace and providing a peaceful solution to the Middle East situation that is ongoing, and he will say that he can resolve that situation. And again, many believe, and I said it before, that if they could only resolve the Middle East situation, we would have peace all over the world, because all the battles in the world, all the wars in the world, have that the root causes are connected to the battle in the Middle East between Israel, Iran, and the lands there. That's what they say. So, folks, all these things are converging. We're out of the 7 of those items, those pillars of Bible prophecy, we've got a solid 4 happening, even 5 happening with the hurricanes. I think all we're left to see is really the last 2, the signs in the heavens and the third temples. So when you start seeing signs in the heavens, maybe someone's going to declare that they've spoken with the aliens or something like that. Pay attention to the news. I could see that coming out. I think these things are ready to be fulfilled at any moment now. Bible prophecy is being fulfilled, and we're ready for the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse to arrive and ride, and the world stage is set for that to happen. Thanks for watching, folks. I'll leave it there. We'll see you in the next video.